Hey love, I'm Gena, a fitness, nutrition, and self-love coach, helping high-achieving women heal their relationship with food and their bodies so they can finally feel free, strong, and confident in their own skin. If you've ever felt stuck in the cycle of restriction, binging, and body shame, trust me, you are not alone. On this podcast, we're calling out diet culture BS, building your dream body without the obsession, and getting real about what it actually means to love yourself in a world that constantly tells you not to. I've been there. Anorexia, binge eating, body hate, you name it, I've lived it. And now I help women just like you find food freedom, feel sexy in their skin, and take their damn power back. So get ready, because the Fit Without Obsession podcast starts now. I know sometimes you feel like the reason you're not where you want to be is because you're lazy, you're not trying hard enough, you're not doing enough. And it's because of so much that we have learned in our hustle culture, and just the fact that it's almost encouraged and endorsed to tie your worth to your productivity. And I want you to know that you are not lazy, you're not unmotivated, you're not broken, you're really just tired of proving, tired of performing, tired of chasing the next fix that might actually feel like you're good enough. And that's not a flaw, that's a survival strategy. In this episode, we're really going to dive into not just talking about, you being tired today. We're actually going to talk about what it feels like to be emotionally, mentally, and soul level drained from tying your worth to that productivity, from believing that you have to earn your rest, from treating your body like a project, and that your life has to be this perfect performance, because it really is truly exhausting, and it's really limiting you from actually being happy, actually feeling at peace, actually having a life that you love. It's a big thing that is getting stuck and getting in your way right now. And I want you to know that this was never your fault. You were actually set up to feel this way from a young age. You were probably praised for being disciplined or high achieving, put together, so responsible. I know for me, I was really good in school. I almost actually skipped a grade, but, decided I didn't want to do that. But I was getting straight A's, I had everything together, and I started to base a lot of who I was on just being this, go-getter person, this high-achieving person, this hardworking person. And that really became sort of my identity, in that I felt like I had to be productive in order to be worthy. From just a young age, I didn't recognize it when it was happening, but I can look back now and understand that a lot of my disordered behaviors really stemmed from this, even though these were obviously compliments from my teachers, from my parents, from people around me, but they really had me create a warped view of myself and how I should be functioning. And when you were treated that way as a kid, maybe you liked being that girl. I know I liked being that girl. Maybe it made you feel safe, but here's what no one told you. The moment that you started tying your worth to how much you do, you stop believing that you're good enough when you just simply are, when you're just simply being and not actually accomplishing 500 million things all at once. This has really translated for you, I'm sure, and I know for me during my journey, that the healthy habits you're trying to follow in order to be better, be the best, be the hard worker, have slowly turned into obsessing over food and workouts, feeling guilty if you're not productive, shaming yourself for needing the rest, or never being able to just sit without actually spiraling. So this doesn't mean that you are, again, lazy, that you're in the wrong, that there's something wrong with you. It's actually that you're trying to become that still same little girl version of you that was praised for these things. And you just want to continue to do the best, to try harder, to do more, because you think that that is what you have to do in order to be loved, in order to be worthy, in order to be enough. But when you were younger, rest wasn't modeled. Slowness wasn't praised. You actually learned that productivity equals love, success, and safety. So a lot of these issues that you're having now are from these deep-rooted beliefs that you were taught growing up. And you don't fear rest, you fear who you are without the pressure, honestly. And I really want to go into, again, that this isn't laziness that you're feeling when you feel like you can't do everything all at once, when you're feeling exhausted, when you're feeling tired, when you're feeling dysregulated. It's actually a survival mode. You've been white knuckling your way through life with a nervous system stuck in overdrive. And this isn't lack of willpower. This is actually chronic dysregulation. Because if your body is constantly in fighting and overachieving to then flight, distracting and avoiding and planning more to then freezing and actually shutting down, maybe doom scrolling on your phone, binging, disassociating, you crash not because you're lazy, but because your system is screaming for rest. You can't continue to just stay stuck in this fight or flight mode and expect that you're going to be able to never have a binge, so you're going to be able to never have a meltdown or a breakdown or think that you're not good enough. Like, that stuff is going to automatically happen when we're stuck in that space. And if you were really lazy, you would actually be relaxed, right? You would feel at ease. You would maybe even be bored, but you're not. You're actually super anxious, you're exhausted, and you're terrified to slow down. And I want you to know that all of these things that you're feeling right now, I have gone through, I've went through. I had to face this the hard way on my healing journey, and I want to make sure that I share with you now why we need to unravel this, why we need to get out of this so that we really can heal, because it actually can really hinder you from fighting food freedom, from you having great body image, from you finding the life that you love if you stay trapped in thinking that your productivity and worth are tied together. And productivity, it can feel safer than presence. And this is the kicker. You don't actually believe you're lovable unless you're doing something. So when we're healing, it can feel unsafe because it is slower. We are forced to slow down. We're forced to not have 500 million things on our to-do list. And that's why food freedom can really feel scary, because there's no gold star. There's no someone on the sidelines cheering you on saying, yay, you ate the bagel, or yay, you had the pizza and you didn't spiral. You have to do a lot of that by yourself without kind of that external validation that maybe we do get when we're constantly being productive or constantly achieving things. And this is why, rest might feel wrong, because you don't know how to be with yourself without proving your worth. And that doesn't mean that it's a bad thing, though. That doesn't mean that we should be afraid of it or fearful. We have to actually welcome it and be willing to learn what we actually can be without constantly being in 150% overdrive mode. You weren't praised for who you were. You were praised for what you produce when you were younger, and maybe even now, maybe even at work, maybe even with some people that have known you for a while. So of course, now doing nothing makes you feel worthless. But I want to really go into what this looks like in real life, because I know for you, this might look like you resting but feeling guilty the whole time. You might eat more intuitively but beat yourself up for not doing it right. Or maybe you're able to take a rest day, but you actually mentally spiral, and then you just automatically feel you're falling behind. And you're doing the healing work right now, but you're doing it through the same lens that made you sick. So if we are trying to find this great relationship with food, find this great relationship with our body, but we're doing it from the same standpoint that got you stuck here in the first place, it's never going to work. So it's not that you're doing anything wrong. Again, it's not that you're lazy. You're just exhausted from approaching everything from this perfectionistic lens. You're trying to heal your relationship with food and exercise without actually healing your relationship with your worth. That is the actual root. And I've shared this before, but most of my clients, when we start to unravel their relationship with food and we start to, build towards them building this dream life and building confidence, we do find that it is very uncomfortable for them. And it was for me. This is still something I have to remind myself of, just from years of just thoughts telling myself that I'm not worthy. But we have to investigate that you are worthy no matter what. You don't have to be productive. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be doing all the things. You are worthy just as is. And if we can't get through that, if we can't work through that thought and fix it and nurture it and tell ourselves that we are worthy, then this healing process is going to be that much harder. It's going to feel that much more impossible, and it's going to scare you away from healing, and it's going to continue to let you have the thoughts that healing is wrong. So I want to go into how we actually start to get out of this pattern, because it's one thing to understand this, to know maybe why you're stuck, to see the root cause, but it might be hard to figure out what you actually do from here and moving forward to get out of this. So I want to give you real tools so that you can actually start to get out of this pattern. And the first thing I want you to do is I want you to notice the hustle voice. So this is going to take a little bit of practice. You're not going to start to recognize this immediately and be able to fix it, but we need to start tuning in and trying to decipher when we feel this need to hustle. So every time you feel the urge to earn your rest, or you want to punish yourself for not being productive, maybe even trying to get back on track after resting, I want you to ask, what am I trying to prove right now? Because no one is really looking at you and deciphering and analyzing your life as much as you are. Like, no one is actually going to look at you on a Tuesday afternoon if you didn't hit the gym and say, wow, you're a disgusting piece of shit. Like, that's never going to happen. I know that's what you're telling yourself. I've been there. I've told myself that so many freaking times. But you need to understand, like, what are you trying to prove? Because once we can start to recognize that, like, we really don't need to be hustling in order for people to like us, in order for people to approve of us. And maybe if those people do actually require you to do that, like, those are not the people you need in your life. But in analyzing when this hustle culture comes up for you can be the first step. And now the second thing I want you to do is start to practice worth without work. So literally take some time, schedule 10 minutes a day of unproductive rest. And that, what I mean by that is no phone, no plan, like no fixing things. I want you to let it feel weird. I want you to let it feel boring. So you might be like, wow, what am I supposed to do for 10 minutes if I'm literally not on my phone or reading or, going on a walk or whatever it is. Like, even though reading and going on a walk can be very productive things, like, we want to also get comfortable with literally the act of doing nothing. And I feel like this is something that is so much easier, like in other countries and other cultures, that in the US, for some reason, like, we literally cannot shut down. We are so overstimulated all of the time, and it can feel very strange and very jarring, especially if you're an anxious person like me, to not have stuff to do or to distract yourself. But that's okay. I want you to schedule that 10 minutes and start to get more comfortable with it. It will become more comfortable over time the more that you make this a regular practice. And as you're doing this practice, I want you to remind yourself, my value isn't what I do right now. It's in who I am. It's not in the current now. It's literally innately in my core. I am valuable just for existing. And third thing I want you to start doing is create a worthiness reminder. I want you to write a mantra on your mirror. It could be on your phone, like put it on your background, maybe even you're journaling it. But some examples of this can look like, I am valuable even when I do nothing. Or you can maybe write out, my body is not a machine, it's a home. And I want this to really speak to you. So these are examples, right? But I want you to really take some time to write out truly a worthiness reminder for yourself that shows you that you are worthy no matter what. And you can literally put this 500 places around your place. Like, I need this to be in the forefront of your mind at all times, because what's going to happen is your mind is going to want to take over and send you back into that negative place where you do think you need to be productive to be worthy. And we're trying to retrain that. So it's going to take some effort. It's going to take some time. It's going to take a lot of repetition. So the more that you can repeat this, the better. And now number 4, what I want you to start doing is build evidence of safety. So start collecting proof that rest doesn't actually ruin you. So this could look like maybe keeping a rest log where you actually write down what happens when you let yourself be calm and soft and chill mentally, physically, emotionally, whatever that looks like. So for example, maybe you skip a workout and you write out in your rest log that, wait, I missed a workout, but I actually felt okay. Or I took a nap on Wednesday and I didn't spiral. Because the more that you can collect this data, this evidence for yourself, and you can look back at it, that's going to help you through those hard times where you do feel like you need to push through the burnout, you need to push through the tiredness, you need to push through and be as perfect as possible. I want you to remind yourself, look at this list that you're in now, showing yourself that, wait, you don't need to do that. That's never going to be the answer. Now, I also want you to get support that doesn't trigger you. So if your environment, whether that's like your Instagram feed, your friends, maybe you have a coach already, like if they still glorify you grinding and like getting to this burnout place, it's going to keep your nervous system in the same survival mode. So you really need to not only look within to change these thoughts and change these habits, you need to also look around at the people around you and make some meaningful shifts if you need to. It might be uncomfortable, but it's really going to help you feel calmer, you feel less anxious, you feel like more of a human. And inside of my one-on-one coaching program, Fit Without a Session, we rewire that from the ground up. We don't heal by doing more. We heal by finally letting ourselves just be. And really, I want you to give yourself some grace for feeling these things, because you were just stuck in burnout. And that's why you feel like you can't do all the things, because it's honestly not possible. And sometimes we need to understand that we can't do 20 million things at 150% capacity. It's just not possible. So if you do truly want to show up for yourself, or show up at work, or show up for your friends, whatever the main priorities you have in life are, you need to understand that you cannot be putting too much on your plate and not putting too many expectations on yourself. Because once you actually pull back on some of those expectations, you're going to be so much happier. You're going to be so much calmer. You're going to have so much more just availability to live and for life. You don't need to fix your discipline. You need to stop tying your worth to your output, because you were never meant to earn your right to rest. You were always enough. Even if you're literally standing still, you could wake up, go outside, do nothing all day. You are always enough. I want you to remember that. I'm telling you this. You might not believe that right now. I need you to listen to this episode over and over and over in order to then believe this, but I promise you. And I want you to just take a moment here. I want you to take a deep breath in and out. And I just want you to know that your tiredness makes sense. Your burnout is not a failure. And softness is not a weakness, it's wisdom. If you take anything from this episode, know that you are not lazy. You've learned that you have to measure your worth by doing. And I'm here to tell you that's not truth. And I'm here to also remind you that don't try to be perfect on this healing journey. Don't try to approach healing through the same lens that you've approached things your whole life. Because healing really needs to come from a place of compassion, a place of forgiveness, a place that doesn't put unnecessary expectations on yourself. Thank you so much for tuning into the Fit Without Obsession podcast. If this episode helped you heal, grow, or just feel a little less alone, go ahead and hit the follow button so that you never miss a moment of this journey. And if you loved it, share it on your stories and tag me at @thefitbean_. I seriously love seeing what resonates. Sharing this podcast helps more women step out of a session and into their power. And that ripple effect starts with you. And if you're ready for deeper support, check the show notes for ways that we can work together. Just remember, eat the pasta, wear the shorts, and love the hell out of your life. You deserve it always. Talk soon.